This is the classic scenario of good news, bad news. We're proud and happy to bring you another episode of the Big Bid Theory. However, and get the groans ready, I am so sorry, but this is the final episode of season 8 of the show, and we're going to end on a bang. A lot coming up. I'm Bill Culhane. Excited to be with you again on TBBT, brought to you by Bid Prime and Beacon, here from our studios in frigid Austin, Texas. And I look at the weather map, and I guess frigid applies to most of the United States right now. Season 8, take a look back. So many interesting and talented guests have come by to share their expertise, their insights. We've had a full season of episodes on YouTube for the first time ever, and also such kind feedback from fans, listeners, and now watchers of this show. We do appreciate that very much. Anytime we get comments, we pass it along to the entire team, and it gets everybody fired up. There's a however. As I said, we are headed towards a holidays break. And as I look here in the studio, I look across the way, and Rick, I look at you. What's with the tears in your eyes?
Well, honestly, I was cutting onions a little bit earlier, and that's probably it. But I mean, we're closing out season 8. It's been a really good one. We've had a lot of awesome topics, and I mean, I'm more of just excited to get the next one started when we get around to it. You know,
Rick and I joke, but this has been a great season. Little biased, right? TBBT was on location in Boston back, I guess it was in August. We began weaving in experts direct from government purchasing. So many talented people there doing great things for their communities. Incidentally, be prepared for more government purchasing professionals coming on the show in the coming seasons. There's a little bit of a tease. That being said, in this episode, we're going to kind of go back to our roots, how the show started many years ago. The guest in this episode, I met him at Louisiana NIGP over in Lake Charles, or Lake Chuck, as some of us say. And by the way, kudos again to my friends, Tammy Grant, Rhonda Babel, and the entire team at Louisiana NIGP for putting on an absolutely rewarding and spectacular event. Aaron Aylsworth, our expert guest in this episode coming up, he's going to share his story on how his business is helping the private and, yes, public sector to tackle the need for air purification and other really important solutions, including those addressing school safety. I can't think of anything really much more important than that, right? Aaron shares an incredible story on how their business shifted once the COVID pandemic hit, and I'm not kidding. You don't want to miss it. It's really an amazing story. Speaking of miss it, we're going to miss Crazy Bids. I speak for everybody. We're going to miss Crazy Bids for a couple of months. Rick, dry your eyes. Be brave. What's ahead in Crazy Bids?
I'm going to do my best. This episode for Crazy Bid, I think I found a pretty good one to close the season out. So this Crazy Bid for this episode is a bit of a stretch here, but we are going to combine higher education with Motown. And stay tuned to find out what the heck I even mean by that.
Well, there you go. Don't know about you, but I'm going to be sure to listen to that Crazy Bid. Rick, I'll be resting my vocal cords. I plan on hanging out with family and doing a little bit of the Big Bid Theory promotion-related travel during the break. What do you have coming up?
Well, to be honest, not a ton. I mean, I'm going to do a lot of traveling like all of us, or most of us probably will, for the holidays. But once we get done with that, it's really just kind of cruising around, focusing on whatever comes up. We're going to have some busy periods coming up. I'm sure everyone's going to get a little bit busier in Q1, finding out what we're going to do for the year. So I guess that's kind of in the plans, but it's more of a bring it on type situation for me, you know?
All right. Sounds like some good R&R. After these words, I'm going to share more info about our special guest, and we'll hear from Aaron Aylsworth in a moment.
The Big Bid Theory is powered by Bid Prime and Beacon. Well over a decade plus in business, Bid Prime is the premier technology in the industry. Real-time bid notifications, supporting documents, doc search, robust data tools, and more. All backed by unmatched personalized customer support. For a free, no-obligation trial, go to bidprime.com. Are you looking to get more bidders and write better RFPs more quickly? Beacon helps municipalities overcome challenges in the process and increase supplier participation. Agencies are using Beacon to publish and distribute solicitations, along with communicating updates to plan holders. eBid allows bidders to easily submit responses and agencies to collect them for evaluation. Also, Beacon is the place for access to the RFP archive, a massive searchable database of previously published RFPs to more quickly write better RFPs. To learn more, visit beaconbid.com.
Many thanks to Bid Prime and Beacon for supporting the show this past season 8. Aaron Aylsworth served in the Air Force from 2010 to 2016 as a hydraulics mechanic, as a fellow proud veteran of the Air Force, as many of you know. Well, many thanks to Aaron for his service. Here are some details on what he's been doing since he took off the uniform. He partnered with his father and mother-in-law on advanced floor care, cleaning carpets, ceramic tile, and upholstery in the hospitality industry, and serviced over 50 hotels across several states. You'll learn more about that later in the episode. Really incredible stuff. Aaron is going to share how at the start of 2020, COVID-19 hit and they had to adjust. Like many of you, many of our friends, in their search, they discovered a way to offer all commercial and public facilities air purification, energy monitoring, air quality monitoring, and security monitoring. From there, Aaron opened MOP Zero, MOPP Zero, his disabled veteran-owned business, and other family members opened Pure Air Solutions of PA. Aaron tells the story much better than I can. Here's Aaron Aylsworth. I just mentioned in the introduction to this element of the podcast that we're now happy to be joined by Aaron Aylsworth, who comes to us from over in the Keystone State, over in Pennsylvania. And Aaron is with Pure Air Solutions of PA. And I just said, Aaron and I and Aaron's father-in-law, Arnold, we met in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Louisiana NIGP had an event recently over at the Golden Nugget there in Louisiana. And Aaron, we're going to keep some of those stories secret, not share with the audience. I joke, but looking behind you there, it looks like everybody there in Erie, Pennsylvania is getting ready for the holidays.
We are. Yep. Everyone's got all their stuff up. About to have a big storm coming in, so we should have a lot of snow for Christmas. So everyone's pretty excited about that.
Yeah. Here in Austin, Texas, where our studios are, we get the cold, but we usually don't get the advantage of the snow. So Christmas here, it's supposed to be like 20, 25 degrees, cold wind, but not a flake of snow. So you guys win that one.
Yeah, I did tech school in Texas, and I remember never being colder than when I was there. And I've lived in Pennsylvania my whole life. I was like, something just doesn't quite match up with the Texas winds. It just blows right through everything you got on.
Yeah, it starts somewhere out in Arizona, then it travels through, I hope my geography is correct, but it kind of goes through New Mexico. And then by the time it hits Texas, yeah, it's ready to freeze anything and everything. But let's you and I get to the heart of the matter. When you and I visited over in Lake Charles, clearly we talked about what you and your businesses, plural, do. And first of all, let's start with the air purification, air quality. So COVID-19, we know that starting back in March 2020 or so, it changed the way a lot of us think about a lot of things. And when I say we, I mean governments, businesses, schools, you name it. Well, how did COVID-19 kind of change the way people are thinking about air quality and air purification?
Yeah, so Bill, that kind of changed the playing field for is what people thought of air purification entirely, kind of took it and flipped it on its head. Everybody initially was just going based off the ASHRAE standards of 2 air changes per hour. And, to be honest, before COVID, I never thought about air at all. I don't think anybody did. And it's just kind of revealed how much of a problem it is. Initially, everybody had the same learning curve. We watched it in real time throughout all industries. Started out with sprayers, and then it went to just filtration. And, it's landed to where it is now, where it's a kind of combination of a lot of different things. But everybody thought of indoor air quality probably similar to me as, it's just kind of the thing you get used to get rid of cat hair. But the truth is the amount of bacteria and viruses and everything that's in the air is a lot more than we think. People would never think twice about drinking dirty water. Right away, everyone would be like, there is no way that I'm going to be doing that. But breathing dirty air, it's the same thing. And honestly, it's got a lot more in it. And we found over the last couple of years that the only way to treat airborne illnesses and pathogens is to treat the air. Where at first, everyone initially was just treating the surfaces. You saw everyone with the wipes and the sprays and everything like that, which there's nothing wrong with that. But especially against something like the flu or COVID is ultimately ineffective against it. So we've learned that over the last 2 years, and it's kind of changed everyone's thinking to where people they're really thinking about a solution to the problem rather than just, hey, we'll wait this out. People are being a lot more proactive minded.
Yeah, a couple stories I can provide, and certainly you don't need me to jump in and kind of, dovetail with anything you just said. You said it all very well, but my wife is an ICU nurse here in Austin. And even before COVID, air quality, of course, in an intensive care unit is paramount. And I mentioned to somebody just this morning, in anticipation of our conversation, I went into BidPrime's database and just looked at the last 365 days, and there have been hundreds. Let me say that again, hundreds of public sector bids, RFPs, specifically targeted towards air purification, air quality, and air filtration type systems. So yeah, there's a lot going on now. Pretty much everyone I know is a fan of oxygen, right? We all like to breathe. So what should, you kind of touched upon it there, Aaron, but what should people know about the air they're breathing when they walk into their office, when they walk into their college dorm, when they walk into their government building? What's in the air around us?
Yeah, so a lot more than what people think. We've found over the last couple of years from this technology and products that we use, which is Aeris products, that there's a lot more in the air than what people thought even need filtered out. There was a 2-year study pre-COVID, actually, in schools with the systems that I sell, and they found that through implementing these in these school systems, that there was an 80% drop in sick days across the board, which is huge. So that's pre-COVID. So now post-COVID, going into a building, you should know that just because it looks clean, that doesn't mean that it is. We've seen dramatic drop rates in the flu and MRSA, COVID, kind of the amount of bacterial and RNA, DNA viruses that are rendered essentially ineffective with this solution is mind-blowing. We've watched it. They're still testing on more and more viruses every day. And so far, the technology that we implement has not been or has been effective against every single one. So people just need to be aware that there is a solution to these problems in the buildings that they go into. You just got to do a little bit of research and find the right ones. We found a lot of people that think that a good solution is to, so a lot of people, they just add these extra filters into an HVAC unit. And what that does is it ups your energy cost. These systems, they're not designed for the extra filters, so it burns out the units. Whereas ours goes in, it doesn't have the solution of filtering out these bacteria. My solution, or I should say Aeris' solution, it changes the inside atmosphere of a facility. So rather than the passive solution of trying to bring bacteria into a filter, catch it, and put out clean air, ours puts out hydroxyls, dry hydrogen peroxide, and superoxides that fill a space that when it comes in contact with these bacteria and viruses, pierces their membrane, turns them into a neutral product that doesn't do anything, and renders these bacteria useless. I like to call it the only post-pandemic solution that there is, because it dramatically drops the infection rate on an indoor setting. And it just does that by recreating the outside atmosphere that we naturally have that already kills all these, and it brings it into an indoor setting.
Interesting. Yeah, Dr. Roddy, Dr. Rodney Rohde, who I've jokingly said for years has become our resident public health expert. Dr. Rohde, a professor at nearby Texas State University. He's going to love this episode. As a matter of fact, Dr. Rohde, our audience remembers the first episode of season 8. Dr. Rohde rejoined the show, and Dr. Rohde was talking about COVID and some of the things that we've touched upon. Dr. Rohde was talking about, when was that? Back early this year. We'll leave it at that. So you've done a good job there, Aaron, of kind of talking about what you and your teams, and again, I keep using the plural, you and your teams are doing in terms of air quality, air purification. As you and I were standing there in the Golden Nugget, and you and I were chatting about what you do, what we do, talking about the show. One of the things that you went on to say is that you're involved in other things as well, or I guess I should say, you have available other solutions as well. And being here in Texas, of course, school safety has been front and center for many, not all, but for many. And I know across the country, school safety continues to be a priority. Again, I'm not going to be political, but different areas have different conversations centered around school safety. That's a very long-winded way of my asking you to kind of tell us about what other things you're offering in terms of, gunshot detection is a topic that we've discussed on this very show back in seasons past. So what else is out there that you're involved in?
Yeah. So as you said, everyone's got different sides of a political aisle, but I think everyone would agree that we want our kids to be safe. And we kind of happened upon that technology. We were looking for a solution for monitoring air quality, similar to our Aris products, which I consider to be the gold standard of air purification. We wanted a gold standard for monitoring as well. So with just comparing different technologies and different equipment, we landed on a halo monitoring, and it monitors the bacteria and what's in your air. But then also what we thought would be great for schools, as you mentioned, it has aggression technology. It has gunshot detection. It detects vape. It detects THC. There's also safety words that can be used for it. So, for example, the aggression monitoring. Let's say that there is a kid in a bathroom who's being picked on or bullied or beaten up or something like that. These monitors will actually detect the aggression through language, and it will send alerts. You can have it to set alerts for security members, for teachers, principals, whoever's in your system for that. So let's say the security monitor, or a security officer, he gets an alert from the monitoring system that there's been aggression detected in this area. It will send him the location of the detection. It will talk with the security system and the video cameras that are in place. It will start recording 3 minutes prior, and then it'll record up until the solution or until the problem's been resolved. But the big one is the gunshot detection. As you mentioned, it will detect that. It will send alerts to everyone, all the teachers, all of the security staff, and then it'll also call the police, and it will tell them the area in the school that it's happening. But then also for the kids and students, as they try to evacuate, it kind of switches it to a smarter strategy rather than just the nearest exit. As they go out into the hallways, these monitors will be lined similar to smoke detectors down the hall. It'll have red lights towards where the gunshot was detected and green lights to the nearest exit away from it. So now we've gone from a problem to where there's a shooter in the school, we don't really know where he is. We don't know what's happening to. Everyone's alerted immediately. The police are alerted immediately. And then as far as finding an exit, it makes sure that everyone is going away from the problem. And that's kind of how we stumbled upon that. Was we weren't looking for getting into the security game or even adding that. But once we did, it kind of changed our thinking entirely to, maybe we can solve the error problem, and security problems. What other problems can we solve? So we also got in with Initech Energy, and our solution, or our goal now, is to provide entire building solutions to facilities and making them essentially smart buildings. Similar to monitoring with the Halo side, the Initech Energy, it monitors a facility's energy and also stops wasted energy. So it'll detect if there's a presence in a room. If there's not, it'll turn off the lights, it'll turn off the HVAC, the heating to it. And through putting this in, people can see typically around 30% savings in energy each year. So as you said, our different businesses, it's kind of all merging into one. We'll see what we keep adding to it, but our goal is to make the safest buildings possible for any commercial use, essentially. Schools, nursing homes. We're talking to a lot of prisons right now. There's really not a facility that's not in need of the different products and services that we are able to add.
Yeah, and as you and I and Arnold, your father-in-law, we had our conversation there over in the Pelican State a couple of weeks ago. That's what impressed me. Is I thought to myself, even when I walked away, I thought, these guys, these people are involved in so many different things, and they tie so well together. And of course, and I know, full disclosure, I know this is part of the reason that you guys made the 20-hour drive from Pennsylvania to Louisiana to take part in the event. There are so many local, state type agencies from A to Z who are interested in these type of products. But I also found out when I was in Louisiana that, like a lot of businesses, back when COVID hit, and we're going to use March of 2020, but when COVID hit, you guys had to make changes in a hurry. And I kind of shared a couple of stories with you. One of a client that I know of specifically who completely changed what they were doing. Went from making electric car toys, to doing hand sanitizer dispensers. And I know all of our listeners, all of our viewers have examples of businesses they know that maybe slightly changed what they were doing and kind of had a COVID lane that they were now traveling down. And then there are others who had to completely change what they were doing in order to survive. And of course, we all know as well, and it breaks our heart, but there were a lot of businesses, of course, who couldn't recover. Couldn't survive through COVID. But your story, Aaron, is so interesting. If you would kind of give us the 35,000 foot view on what happened and what you had to do to kind of keep your business legs moving.
Yeah, no problem. So at the start of 2020, my father and mother-in-law's cleaning company, we had built it up to about 50 hotels. We were specifically in the hospitality cleaning industry. In a couple of years, we had built the company up from just a few hotels to over 50. And right at the start of 2020, our plan was to expand. My brother-in-law, he was opening up a new facility in Tennessee, and my in-laws were moving to Cincinnati to do the same. So we just bought all the equipment for it, and we're all geared up. We decided to have one last big family vacation before everyone split. And the day before we were supposed to leave, heading to Florida, COVID hit. And within one day, that same day, we had every single hotel call and cancel service indefinitely. So we went from, hey, we're going to triple our business size to we need to get on unemployment because we've completely lost our source of revenue. So through that process, as you said, you kind of had to pivot. So right away, we decided that COVID was the problem. we want to get back to being able to get to this hotel cleaning. We need to find a solution for the hotels to be able to open up to get their guests back, inevitably, so that we'll be able to get back into our cleaning company. So we started out with sprayers, just like everyone else did. We had the full bunny suits with the gas masks. We would go in after people that have been sick, and we would spray down the rooms, exactly the similar things that you saw with the CDC. And through that, and just learning about COVID, found out that, hey, this is an airborne illness. We need to be able to treat the air. So from that process, we just really started looking at different technologies until we found the best of the best. And that really switched it for us. And we pivoted from, hey, this is just a solution that is good for hotels, to maybe we can make a business out of this and we can offer this to all facilities. So once we came to that realization, I created my own company, MOP Zero, which is a service disabled veteran owned. And then my father and mother-in-law's company, is a women owned and Native American owned company. So we're kind of opposite ends of the same coin. And we just partner together a lot and work together to provide all these different services to different facilities. So it's nothing that we intended to happen, but just through everything and the perseverance of trying to find a solution for the hotel world, that we just created a completely different industry for ourselves. But along with that, my brother-in-law and my mother-in-law, they stuck with the cleaning side of it. It took a couple of years, but I'm glad to say that they were actually able to come back from COVID. And my brother-in-law is running the company right now. And as far as I know, I think he has more clients than we did previously. So it's kind of an all-around success story for us. One that we definitely were not expecting, but it's been an adventure, but it's been a good one.
Very good. Well, Aaron, I know we've established over the years that here on the Big Bid Theory, we love celebrating the success of businesses. And I meant what I said to you guys, you and Arnold, a couple of weeks ago. It always is interesting to me. It always grabs my attention, my interest when I hear, it's not just people doing stuff, but hearing the story behind how a company or companies came to be, and then doing important things for the community. Because let's be real, I mean, the name of the show is the Big Bid Theory. So there's public sector involved. And so what you guys are doing, your teams are doing for these local, county, state, even federal governments, so important, because it impacts so many people. It impacts so many lives. So major salutes to you guys for that. And also thank you for your service as well.
I appreciate that, Bill. Thank you. And thank you for giving me the time to be able to come on your podcast.
Again, I hope you enjoyed the insights from Aaron there. And I said it, there's been a dramatic rise in the number of solicitations being published by government entities for these types of solutions. You see the government agency activity via Beacon, the bids popping up on BidPrime's radar and their database. Also, you heard, by the way, if you caught it, you heard Aaron mention the Airborne Act and House of Representatives Tax Bill HR 7671. In summary, Aaron touched on it. The bill allows owners of commercial or public properties a tax credit for the cost of an indoor air quality assessment and an air filter or qualified HVAC upgrade to such properties. The bill also directs the Department of Energy to establish a voluntary certification program for property owners to certify that their properties are in compliance with the indoor air quality standards added by this bill. And Aaron did the math. He got out the calculator. The tax bill is going to offer a tax credit of $1 per square foot for a qualified IAQ assessment, $5 per square foot for upgrades and improvements, including portable air cleaners, and up to $50 per square foot for HVAC upgrades. Go to the description. I'll tell you what. Go to the description of the podcast for not only a link to the legislation, but there will be other links pertaining to our visit with Aaron. All right, Rick, you are well aware of the way this works, right? Well, earlier you teased us about crazybids. Take it away.
All right, so if you'll remember, the tease was that we are combining higher education with Motown. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and tie these two together to keep everyone from waiting any longer. So the higher education portion of this is that this crazy bid comes from Iowa State University, go Cardinals, and the title of this bid, having vaguely to do with Motown, is Carwash. So how do these two tie together? Well, the ISU, Iowa State University, is seeking proposals from qualified contractors to remove the existing car wash and provide and install a new car wash system. It's going to be a turnkey project, and ISU currently has what they call a PDQ Tandem RT300. Not sure what that means. If you are big into car washes, I'm sure you do. It was installed in late 2011 or early 2012, and get this, ISU Transportation Services has a fleet of over 600 vehicles that are serviced and washed throughout the month. Now, maybe I'm a little bit naive at that. More than 600 vehicles seems like a lot. And obviously, if you're washing that many per month, yeah, a car wash system kind of seems to be the most efficient solution there. So I don't know. That seems pretty crazy to me. I don't think I've seen 600 vehicles of anything on any college campuses as far as I can recall. But hey, I mean, if you can set up a turnkey car wash system and take out their old one, then maybe your company can be the reason that the ISU fleet just shines going down the highways in this episode's crazy bid that you can win.
Friends, again, I said biased and all that, but that is the way to end a season. Thank you very much for that, Rick. Get out the tissues. Don't be a stranger, by the way. Stay in touch. If you have a comment or question, or if you have a suggestion for a guest, email me at bculhane@bidprime.com. Continue to follow us on Twitter at The Big Bid Theory. My Twitter handle is contract_hunter. You can also keep an eye on our Facebook, our LinkedIn, and even our YouTube. We're going to be putting some stuff out over the break. Powered by Bid Prime and Beacon. Once again, thanks so much to our guests over Season 8, including, we just heard from Aaron Aylsworth. Many thanks to our audience. It's because of you that we do what we do. Our incredible staff. Great work, everybody. And thanks to you. On behalf of Rick Jennings, I'm Bill Culhane, and we'll see you in Season 9. We already have great guests lined up. Have the safest and happiest of holidays. For the final time in Season 8, this is Bill Culhane. Until next time, go Gunners, Barracudas, Tigers, Bobcats, and Cubs, and we wish you all the best in growing your business.
Powered by Bid Prime and Beacon, we thank you for tuning in to The Big Bid Theory. From Austin, Texas, the show is hosted by Bill Culhane, produced by Bill Culhane and Jim Ward, and co-hosted and engineered by Rick Jennings. Distribution, research, and production assistance by Lauren Jones. Among a variety of platforms, you can find other episodes of the show on iHeart, iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, and also YouTube. Thank you for downloading and sharing the podcast.
We're having so much fun.